Okay, hope this is working. I can never tell with Facebook Live. Hopefully, I'm not just talking to nothing. I already messed up the live one time, so hopefully, I'm getting it right this time. Yeah, it looks like it is. Okay. All right, cool. Let me just get my little Instagram going here. No, nobody's coming in right now, so I don't have to worry about that. All right, peace. Live now on our channel, baby. Let's see what it do, baby. I should probably do this too, huh? I don't know. We'll give it a try. Let's see what's up. We'll give it a try. All right. Technical difficulties aside. All right, here. So, yeah, today we're looking at a little conversation. This I cooked up for y'all called Mastering the Mindset. It originally evolved out of a module I created called Psychology of Service. Now, Mastering the Mindset, I actually have as an ebook. Um, I've actually updated and expanded and like written, and it's downloadable. But due to a recent change in my lifestyle circumstances that have necessitated changes in my business model, what I'm actually doing is taking all my ebooks and rebranding and replatforming a lot of my videos and resources and stuff. So, um, yeah. So if you want access to that book, um, I'm going to be having I'm launching a community for bartenders and industry people in general. Obviously, my brand is Mastery for Lifers, so it's for restaurant lifer, it's for self-proclaimed restaurant lifers, and I'm going to have that book in there, that resource in there. I'm going to have a live uh, training of that. I'm going to have how to design dope drinks. It's a program I've come up with called Dope Drink Design. I'm going to have that in there with its resulting ebook. I'm also going to have Mastery for Lifers. So, my full bartending master course condensed into like a 90 or 100-page book. You can just like keep on you as a manual. Um, and or on your phone in this case because it'll be electronic. That's going to be in there, as well as all the rest of the course that I built out for how to go from being a bar back to being a server to being a bartender to being in management. And the way that all that stuff is presented is going to be as a training module. So it's not just if you're looking to do those things. If you needed to train servers, train bartenders, train barbacks, train management, that's all going to be included as well. Um, and what it really wants to do is just help get employee turnover down and get sales and tip averages up, and you know, kind of like automate excellence as far as good customer service goes, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in just a second. All right, so diving right in, psychology of service. These are going to be the methods and frameworks to increase your check average, to get higher tips, and to optimize your career overall in the food service industry. So, one of the things you may or may not know about me is I have a master's practitioner certificate in neurolinguistic programming. What is neurolinguistic programming? It was originally a therapeutic modality developed out of speech language therapies and life change therapies and successful hypnotherapy practitioners. So people who got people to quit smoking cigarettes and quit drinking and began to apply this stuff in a sales environment. And naturally, just because this has been around since the 70s, much, 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 a lot of this has been incorporated into sales and service psychology at the restaurant level, and most people don't even know it. Now, a lot of people might feel like, oh, this is too salesy, and it sounds like you're trying to do mind control, blah blah blah. And all NLP really is a study of successful communication patterns, and then modeling them together into a useful format. And then how you can leverage human neurology and body movement into what I'm saying, understanding those things, the eliciting of states, et cetera, et cetera. So NLP is a set of techniques and guiding principles that allows us to identify, model, and replicate outstanding performance. It isn't about dodgy new age mantras. It isn't about hugging trees to get in touch with your inner self. And it definitely isn't about selling you snake oil. NLP is based on sound psychological principles capable of addressing the full range of challenges we're likely to encounter in our lives, such as phobias, depressions, negative habits, and even learning challenges. Or sales. If NLP could be summed up in one phrase, it would be people work perfectly. Our specific thoughts, feelings, and actions have produced what we are today. By changing these inputs, you will get different results, or a different you, or a different outcome. So these are some basics of neurolinguistic programming that industry folks can use. It's core basic things like paying attention to people's language, paying attention to people's eye movements, paying attention to people's physiology, and it kind of helps give you a perceptual awareness. It's an exercise in perceptual awareness. So that's one of the biggest tips I can really give to people. Is so many people are focused on giving spiels table side, or noticing details about the table side. But when it comes to sales, and probably even more so than the mechanical aspects um, of your service, paying attention to your table and paying attention to your responses that you're getting from your table, and your communication to your table is going to be way more important than um, you know the mechanical aspects of your service. Now, don't get me wrong; those things are definitely necessary. Cannot do away with them. But what's really going to make your service pop is um, being in tune or having a certain level of rapport with with your tables, and a lot of that just comes with paying attention. Remember, people can forgive. Um, people can forgive an error. People can forgive a mess up in your service. What people can't forgive is bad service. You know what I'm saying? Bad customer service. So modeling is one of the ways that we leverage this to our advantage. Some success can't be explained in words. In these cases, you simply emulate patterns and behaviors of the successful. So this would be like, you can't necessarily, the best server. The reason why they have you shadow the best servers or the lead server or the captain server in training programs when you get hired at a restaurant is because there's certain aspects of the job that them just laying out for you can't absorb, and you need to see someone do it, and you need to hear someone explain to you why they did that based off of how they think it's done, and or some things they just won't be able to explain it all, and you literally just learn by watching. This is something that you can definitely do um, in your service table and in your program and wherever you work at, because there's always going to be somebody better than you. And if there's not, then you better get online and look for somebody who, what I'm saying, YouTube, or go to a good restaurant or something like that, and just find somebody to model. This is also the reason why in success circles they talk about the mastermind principle or the mentorship principle, exactly because of this. So I mentioned this a second ago, talking about rapport. Rapport is essentially you and someone else feeling as though y'all are seeing each other eye to eye, being in similar frames, having something in common, even if it's a similar callback joke, a stupid TV show, throwback humor or something. You know what I'm saying? You never know what it could be. And oftentimes you discover these things by being yourself, which is my number one advice to anybody in a service environment is be yourself, but just be your best self. When people trust each other, they become comfortable. When this happens, barriers come down and magic happens. You have to enter their frame. One of the main ways you can enter someone's frame is by our next point, which is called mirroring. You enter their world by adopting their body language. You adopt their verbiage. You adopt their body language. Um, a Trojan horse infiltrated the mighty city of Troy. You see what I'm saying? So it was a horse. It was a Trojan styled horse. That's why the soldiers of Troy, who were Trojans, that's why the Trojans let their Trojan horse into the city. You see what I'm saying? Because it looked like their emblem. That's essentially the core crux of the concept. So, and it's you don't want to mock anybody. You don't want to emulate anybody. And in fact, there's a very easy way to do this. Uh, You just repeat people's words back to them. Even, and this doesn't even have to come down to behavior mirroring. You can literally, this is a part of why people tell you to repeat orders back to a table to make sure that you have it right. You put what they said back in exactly their language, and that just minimizes communication errors down the line as the communication leaves from you to the bar or to the POS or to the kitchen, etc., etc. Halfway done. So some more NLP basics that industry folks can use are anchoring. An anchor is an internal or external stimulus that elicits another stimulus response by association that may also be any combination of internal or external. So it could be a memory, an aroma, a nervous twitch, traffic lights, traffic lights. Good anchors usually meet four requirements. They are unique, they are intense, they are pure, and they are precise. So the main way that you're probably going to leverage anchoring in a customer service environment um, is going to be in storytelling. Honestly, is going to be the most common way that you're applying this, unless you're to a certain level of skill level. And then there could be certain things that become positive anchoring, like um, if you get in the habit of answering questions while you're watering stuff or seeing what you can do, you know what I'm saying? Watering is a good usage of positive anchoring, um, that kind of lets people know if you show up and you do stuff, like take stuff, not asking, what can I do for you? Stop asking what you can do and just do it. Show up, take some stuff, and also water, or water first and then take some stuff. Over the course of a service, people can pick up that when you show up to the table to water, if they need something, they can just ask it from you. um, so that's just a small example of that, but you can get creative and keep using it as you go on. When to use anchoring would be to inspire change or improve performance in ourselves. So if you do a really good job spieling something, or if you've practiced a spiel, if you're early on in your career and you haven't mastered how to like integrate a spiel on the fly, and you practice your spiel in the mirror or practice your spiel before service at lineup or something like that. If you, let's say you, for instance, you do this, you don't necessarily want to do this one because you don't want to touch your face at a table, especially not if you have facial hair, because you're pretty much picking it out. But this is a good example just because you can see what I'm doing. If you're stroking your beard or something like that, or let's say you're clicking your pen, twirling your pen, tapping your pen on your server pad, writing in your server pad could be a great anchor. But if you develop an anchor like this to where you get into a lucid, clear state where you're spieling stuff, you can just start doing that, and you'd be surprised how much of the memory just comes back to you. You can literally use it as a mnemonic device. Um, you know what I'm saying? To leverage your memory and leverage your skill set and your spiels to the next level. So you can also use anchoring to build rapport and inspire improvements in others, like coworkers and things like that. There's other ways to do this with depending on what kind of place you work in, you can get creative. If there are certain regulars and they do a certain something um, good for you or nice for you, you can reward it. It's almost like the concept of rewarding good behavior is what anchoring really, really comes down to, in its core in scientific literature, at least, which obviously we don't have time to go into because this ain't about that. All right, service primer. So, what is service? I define service as the way someone provides personal, authentic care for another individual. This includes colleagues as well. We serve the guests, but also serve each other. Working in the service industry is very spiritual. And I always tell people this, it's the non religious ministry, because you're providing a spiritual service to these people that in a modern day society is largely lost, which is why, at some level, no matter what, even if they automate robot servers, they'll never replace us, because that's a part of why you go to a bar, is have human connection and tell somebody your problems, who doesn't necessarily want anything back from you in the moment. Now you got to pay for your drinks and food and stuff, but you know what I'm saying. So what is a server? Servers, in my opinion, the best servers are actors. They're actors that play hosts in their own home. Servers aren't waiters. waiters wait for orders, and servers serve an experience. This is coming straight out of like one of the first. This was some of the first training I ever really received, and it was I don't necessarily want to like flaunt the name, but it was a dude who like made the Ritz Carlton back in the day, and him giving me um, a version of these type of like him giving me these type of tips and tricks when I first got in, just like is it's literally what made me decide I wanted to work in the industry long term. So service primer. Did I skip that? No, I didn't. All right. So what I like to remember is wide. Write it down. Everything. WIDE. Write it down. Everything. And a lot of people be like, well, I want to be one of those servers that can just do it off the top of my head and skill and well, guess how you get to that level? By writing it down. Everything. Another one that's really good that you should incorporate is ring it and bring it immediately. The sooner you can ring it in, the sooner you can bring it, the less you have to worry about it later. If it's something fast, even if you work in a service environment where everybody, like I've worked in service environments where there's a circuit system going on, and there was a huge restaurant with 2 floors. It was a really big Belgian bar that had a Belgian bar upstairs and like American taps downstairs, and there was a huge old building built inside like an old bank. And the only way to keep up with everything that you had to do to make that place run, you had to have like 7 people, and they all had to be on a circuit. Even if you have that type of system in play, the sooner you can ring something and bring it and not have to rely on one of your other servers in this case or support staff in other cases, um, it's something less that you have to worry about. You can write it off your list because hopefully you wrote everything down. And it also adds a sense of personal care in terms of like urgency. Like, oh, you need that? Oh no, I get that for you right now. You know what I'm saying? So when you do service, it helps in terms of coursing and pacing. The reason why people have a habit of asking for certain things when a good server takes control of their table and they say, can I get you this first? Because it helps everything out, not just you, but everything on the back end. You want to get drinks first if you can. Get those rang in while they're looking over what they want to get for like appetizers or mains. Before you get the drinks, you want to do like a little spiel talking about the apps and all that type of stuff. And then you want to get the food, the main food order. Um, Helps with pace in the kitchen and gaining control of the dining experience. When dropping items, you always want to hug the guest. You never want to elbow your guest. Um, you never want to backhand your guest. You always want to place from the left and you want to clear from the right. You want to do it left to right, just like reading. So, another one, as best you can, don't leave people eating alone, but remember ABC, always be clearing. Now, I phrase this one this way because it will vary from service to environment, from service environment to service environment where you're at, whether you will, um, whether it's more polite to clear all the dishes at once, or if you have a high volume service environment, especially in a post COVID world, most people are leaning more towards the side of always be clearing and turn and burn, just because so many people discovered they could run with a lighter crew and their servers therefore can make more money. So they've kind of not stopped doing that, at least based off of what I've encountered in my consulting experience over the past 2 3 years. So um, as best you can, don't leave people eating alone. But it's always a good practice to always be clearing, especially just because most tables are small and you wanna create space, keep it looking nice. Reset silver and plateware before the main course at least. This is one of those examples of what I call automating excellence. Now, placing stuff in between each course and crumbing in between each course is something that not everybody does and is not required in most serving environments, but it is required in certain ones. And what I found is if you take the skill set from that and bring it down to like you take black tablecloth service and you find a way to non-bougily, non stuck up, non-arrogantly implement it into a casual fine service environment, you'll automatically be considered one of the best servers on the floor. Just make things like resetting silvers and plates. When you go to clear stuff in between courses and they start to pick their knives up, say, "Oh, you can hold on to those if you want to, but I can get you some new ones as well if you like." You know what I'm saying? Just so that you can give that as an option to them. Come up wordlessly, clear, and crumb the table. Come up wordlessly, as I said. Aggressive water service. If you see my other videos on that, check that out on my YouTube. Check in, check in, check in. Resist hovering, but over communication is more efficient than under. Again, if you're worried about hovering or saying too much or interrupting your table, watering is always a good way to go. Next tip: clear everything. Crumb, then offer dessert. Don't get sloppy just because the finish line is in sight. You guys want to hear about dessert? Be flexible, or maybe even a liquid dessert. Have a quick memorized descriptive of your two favorite desserts. This gives not necessarily the illusion of a choice, but more the preponderance of a choice. It relieves the stress of decision anxiety. And the less resistance you give people, the less resistance they will give you when it comes to sales and buying things. So things follow a path of least resistance. So use that to your advantage. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So again, clear everything. Another good thing with dessert is if it's high speed, you're in the middle of the rush, and you know you have to get to somebody else to give them an opening spiel or blah blah blah. One of the best things you can do is just as you clear that last round, drop the menu and just be like, "Here's a menu, just in case you guys want to look at that. Otherwise, I'll be right back with a check for you," and keep it pushing. And you should, as a preemptor, it's a good chance to have your um, check printed by the time you even drop dessert menu. If you have your check already printed by the time you just drop dessert menu, you don't drop it as soon as they ask for you, unless the situation calls for it. Be flexible, be open, pay attention. But in most cases, you can just go talk to that table that you said you had to go talk to, go right back and drop that check off. And you might even be able to go ahead and get it because you pre-warmed them up by telling them they might have the card out for you or ready to go or what have you. All right, service primer, suggestive selling versus upselling. There is a difference. Um, Upselling is salesy. Upselling is more for like an outright. It doesn't necessarily have a place in a customer service format. Suggestive selling, however, is a win-win. You are providing them options that they did not know, so you're arming your guests with knowledge. Um, you're not upselling or suggesting things they can have, which is a lose-lose, and why it feels cringy and salesy to you. And the other thing is the other reason it feels salesy is because to you it feels like sales. If you're offering them something that you know, because you have to think about it, you have to think about what you're offering and look at it in the proper context. A lot of times you have to decentralize yourself and your ego and your fear from what you're doing in a professional format. And in a restaurant setting or a food service setting, it's no different. You move yourself from center view and you realize that, oh, they might actually want this. They might not know that we have espresso. They might not know that, what I'm saying, I have low proof liquid desserts. They might not know that we have a special dessert on right now. You know what I'm saying? So if you just offer something to them, whether it's your favorite or whether it's something special that's going on, people want to take advantage of it. And oftentimes you'll learn there are certain diners who I mean, I've worked in certain cities where the service environment is such that diners have gotten to the habit of going out and asking what the specials are first because the servers don't upsell them. Just as a general culture in the city. So something to keep in mind. Demonstrate. You can offer samples wherever possible. So a lot of people think it's tacky to offer tastes of wine. I don't. I came up trained by a sommelier, and he was one of the first people to tell me like wine is subjective, and you can sell wine to the wine people. That's easy, but how do you sell wine to the non-wine people? Well, a lot of times you have to talk them through it. You give them a taste of something, you know, if it's the right place and it's the right type of wine bar, you could even take a half-ounce taster as well and tell them what you taste as you taste it with them and talk about the food you're selling that'll go the best with it. Again, I already talked to you about options or the illusion of choice, or rather the preponderance of choice. So they still buy. Listen, this is going to sound kind of weird, but the best servers will definitely agree with me. In most cases, especially where people have decision anxiety and they have a lot of money and they're just hungry, they want to be told what to get, especially if you have their trust, i.e., you built their rapport. So if they can tell from you, like, oh, this guy's trustworthy, he's not just trying to like sell me some stuff, he likes the good stuff, we relate, we got the same sports team, he's from my hometown, his mom has dreads. I mean, my mom has dreads, he has dreads. I don't know, whatever. People want to be told what to buy, especially if they trust you. The other thing that I have for a service primer that's really good is if you tell them a story or paint a delicious visual image, they will order that shit. Trust me. If you tell a story about where a spirit is from, one of my favorites is to tell the story of how French agricole rum came to be in existence based off of what Napoleon had to go because based off the Napoleonic Wars. It's one of my favorite stories to tell about rum agricole and then also by tangent cachaça, even though the cachaça story is a little bit different. But if you tell a story or if you use descriptive language that elicits memories and stuff like that, or if you use stuff like grandma's apple pie, or what I'm saying, the forest that I played in as a kid or something like that, like people will buy that shit. Trust me, it sounds ridiculous, but as long as you're speaking from the heart and you're being real, how can you ever, what I'm saying, how can you regret that? Remember, the worst I can say is no. But as with everything, you want to apply taste, you want to apply tact, you want to pay attention to your guests, and you want to be subtle. So, supplying the need. So in today's mod, so to close it out, the last little bit of like service primer advice I have for you is supply the need. See how I'm doing on time here. That ain't too bad. So we got want versus need. Wants are things like, may I have ketchup? May I have napkins? May I have a drink? And the like. The best servers, however, have this near psychic ability to serve the want, but also supply the need. Good servers have a knack for anticipating guest requests. Again, the way you do this is by building rapport and paying attention, being a little bit, just a little bit thoughtful. You know what I'm saying? Make this again to bring it back about around automating excellence. You want to talk about making the anticipation of needs and supplying of wants an automatic standard of your style of service. I got so good at this. I just realized just now talking to guys how I got good at this. Have I have what they call bartender ears. If you say something on the other end of the bar, even if I'm talking to somebody taking their order or making a drink, I might just come up 5 or 10 minutes later and give you exactly what you just asked for. You know what I'm saying? Just give it to you. You know what I'm saying? To see what you say. If you want it. If you want to try it, you can, you know what I'm saying? You can buy it if you don't want it. I just heard you say that, so blah 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 blah. More often than not, you know what I'm saying, people will be happy you got it. You definitely want to try to do this with stuff that you have direct cost control over. So I'm in the habit of doing that at bars for the last several bars that I've worked at and or with is because I have control of the liquor costs. I was a bar manager. But if you work in a place that empowers you through like desserts or espressos or comping appetizers or dropping bread or something like that, you know what I'm saying? Especially if it's something that's kind of like cheap and they won't really, you know what I'm saying? If you know you're going to make more money from cementing that repeat business by giving them an experience as opposed to, you know what I'm saying, just trying to charge them the $4 or $5 or $6, however much it is for the things, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, apply tact, be subtle, make your best judgment call, and you'll know whether or not that type of thing is appropriate based off of the place that you work at, your managers and your service staff. You'll know whether or not you're allowed to do stuff like that. Refill water whenever there's room until they tell you to stop. So a lot of people's rule of watering is when it gets to halfway or when it's about three-quarters full. Um, when I worked at I had been in the restaurant industry for almost a decade at this point. It was my first time working at a black tablecloth place. And I was so sure I was so right. I was like, as soon as it gets to halfway, that's when you refill it. And he was like, no. I was like, dang. I'll never forget that moment because I just thought I knew. You refill the glass as soon as there's room. You literally refill water until they tell you to stop. The only time you don't do it is that's when you stop refilling the water. You know what I'm saying? And that's how if you get in the habit of that, it's a way that you'll always know what's going on in your section. You'll know what's going on and what your guest needs before they do. Anything the kitchen needs to ask you about anything, you don't have to be like, oh, let me go look. You can just access your mental database. Oh, I was just there filling up water. They got this. Okay, they're ready for that, chef. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that is water is just one of like, if you just refill water to the cutoff point, like if you just do aggressive water service, your check averages and your tip averages will go up like overnight. That's the one thing. If there's one thing you get out of this, I watch it. Watch it. I want you to literally take out the math and watch it before you integrate this. If you just become an aggressive waterer, watch what happens to your tip averages and to your reviews on Instagram. I mean, on your reviews online, whether it be Resi or Guestbook or whatever. Preset and pull out all necessary shareware out for all courses as soon as whenever possible. Yes, before you ring it in. Remember, I said ring it and bring it, but the actual best version of ring it and bring it is the actual best version of ring it and bring it is to bring it before you ring it. If you have the chance, you won't always have the time to, but oftentimes, based off of how restaurants are set up, you're like, you know what? I got this order and that order written down. They're gonna need that. I'm not gonna have time to go back over there. Let me go ahead and drop this plate and share tongs while I'm here, and then I'm gonna go ring it in. That way, you don't have to worry about whether or not they're ready for that course to hit the table. So as again, as you saw before, make crumbing, plate swaps, pouring beer in glasses, refolding napkins when the guest is gone, pre-clearing menus, automatic. Believe me, they will tell you if they want it a different way, and or if you're paying attention, you will already know if they want a different way. If they want a more hands-off style of service, you'll know that within the greeting. So just apply accordingly. But if you err on the side of doing more and not the less, you don't. It's harder. It's hard to do more after the fact. It's easy to tone it down, you know, during service. It's of course, stay vigilant and receptive to guest desire. Yeah, okay, I already said that. All right, so that's pretty much it, man. We are done. That is the Thug Dizzle. Supply the course. I mean, I'm sorry. Psychology of service. I have an extended, upgraded point two version that I've turned into an actual book that is going to be available in my community. If you want to stay in tune with that, go check me out on Instagram and see what you think about that. And join that or whatever I'm trying to say. I appreciate y'all. Peace.